out of the driveway, but he had to go right back home because he had left Mrs. Wright at home. As soon as he turned into the driveway, he went right inside and right up the stairs, where he found Mrs. Wright sitting right beside her overnight bag. Finally, they both got in the car on the left side as the right side door wouldn't open. Mr. and Mrs. Wright again left for the hospital, turning right out of the driveway. An argument occurred about the right turn as Mrs. Wright said that Mr. Wright should have turned left. Mr. Wright kept insisting that he was absolutely right. But Mrs. Wright kept insisting that the hospital entrance was on the left. Okay. 2 blocks away, after another left turn, they discovered they had left Mrs. Wright's overnight bag at home. It's a long story. Don't worry. So they made a left turn. Left turn. You are not out. You didn't stay there. Then a right to go back to home to where they had left the bag. As they turned right on the street, Mrs. Wright said, "Let's go right to the hospital and send someone else right to the house for the fact that we left the bag on the couch." Okay, they went left at the next block and turned right back around. Finally, at the hospital, Mr. Wright pulled up the front where he left his wife to go right in. Inside the hospital, they wheeled Mrs. Wright away. "Where is my wife? I only left her for a minute," exclaimed Mr. Wright. A nurse rushed him right down the hall. They made a left turn, then a right, and a left turn again. Mr. Wright found Mrs. Wright already in delivery, but he then realized that he had left the video camera in the car. Right away, he ran out of the room and right back to the car. Not only had he left the camera, but he had left the lights on too. Mr. Wright wasted no time. He ran right back to his wife's room. As Mr. Wright walked in, he heard crying from his wife because he had left her room and was nowhere inside. I'm sure you can guess what happened next. As Mrs. Wright had the baby, Mr. Wright passed out on the floor. But when he came to, he got a shock once more. For there he saw Mrs. Wright embracing their new little bundles of joy with 2 babies on her left and one on the right. Mrs. Wright turned to her husband and said, "There is one thing left to do. I think we should name this Wright babies. How about you?"